So guys, it's James from Adrenaline. Just wanted to do a quick tech video on our SmoothFeed Breech system. Just a few minutes to kind of go over it, especially for those of you that aren't familiar with this kind of technology. Essentially, for the last 20 years, Planet Eclipse has been the only one that's offered this because of a patent, and they call it the DefTech system, and that expired last year. And honestly, I got to give props to Jack, and I think Nikki T also helped with the design and invention of that, but it's really smart in how it's implemented. And it's an offset design. If you've seen a Planet gun anytime in the last 20 years, you've noticed that the feed neck is offset a few millimeters to the left. The difference in ours is that visually it appears symmetrical. So from the rear, you can't tell it is actually doing what we're saying we're doing. And that's what we wanted to talk about. And if you're not familiar with it, essentially a ball drops in and there's a chance for it to bounce a little bit. What loader delay does is says, okay, I see a ball. Let's wait and make sure the ball's still there and not moving. Let's give it some milliseconds. Oh, it's still there. Okay, let's fire. So software can overcome any type of bouncy balls, and that's good. One problem is that our customers play a lot of mechanical, and there's no loader delay there. And secondly, if we can minimize the need for loader delay, I think it's a no-brainer, right? So this is one of the most heavy R&D technology things we've tried to implement. It's complicated, obviously. It's again, Jack had it patented for 20 years, so you can tell it's not just some small coating we're putting on something. This is pretty complex, and we're proud of it. You can see that there is a offset here. On this left side of the gun, there is a radius on the bottom. So this, if you looked inside the body, let's remove that paintball. I don't know if we can, I'm gonna try to get this pretty, guys. So there's basically a radius on this side and a wall to bounce off of it. So it doesn't just kind of roll in, but picture like an upside down P or something like that, where you want the ball to kind of come in and roll in rather than just drop in and bounce. You can see here the detents are heavily offset. This is not normal compared to what you would see on a stock air. The detents themselves are different. If you lost a detent, which you shouldn't, but if you do lose one in an event, the stock air detents can be clipped and modified to fit in an Adrenaline Lux Air, but those techs will have our detents, but it's not like it's you're without a detent if something like that does happen. So essentially, you can see this offset. Each one is offset. They're also a little bit forward. There is a radius in the breech itself, and you can tell here what's going on. It kind of reminds you of like an old Automag or something like that. And although everything appears centered, everything is shifted a couple millimeters to basically the driver's side, so to speak. And what that enables is a ball to come in more at a, you understand the concept, I think. You come in and roll in versus to drop in and rattle. And again, something we didn't pioneer. That's something that Jack and I think, again, Nikki T did many years ago, and it's really smart. And everybody's weird about patents and paintball, but one benefit of patents and publishing diagrams is to spur innovation and other companies to try to work on your innovation. And they had exclusive rights to it for 20 years. And some people could say we looked over their homework, and we did. I'm not denying that in any way. But that's one of the things, the features of the patent office and sharing all the documents, is that when it expires, other people can try to innovate off of it or during and try to make it different. And I think we've tried to do that a little bit here. So you can see what's going on. You can see the detents. Again, visually, you can't really tell what's going on. So that is different. That is unique. Again, if you've shot a Planet gun in the last 20 years, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, they approached it in a different manner. But performance-wise, it's the same as if it was, well, I guess the ball still centers the same. So that's what matters. You can tell it's centered here. The detents, again, are a little funky looking. and the location is funky looking, but that has to be the way. If you're dropping them in sideways, you got to allow for them to roll in. So they have to allow for the process. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, that's basically it. There is a basically a system of ensuring that out of the loader, the balls follow the path of the roll in versus just some sort of drop in. So again, pretty complex. Everybody talks about the looks and the milling, and I get that, but what we spend a couple months on for milling is nothing compared to some of these things like the vertical pull tail cover and these type of concepts, which are we've had to retain engineers extensively to help us make this work, and we're real excited to see the idea come to fruition. So if you have any questions, let us know. I hope that explains what's going on here. Again, we will have our own eye covers, our own detents, but if you lose a detent, the stock one can be clipped and get you through the tournament without issue whatsoever. And the last thing I'll say, a stock Lux Air, and every Lux for the last few generations has the feed neck lever on the left, and it threads in. Ours is a clamping system similar to what you would see on a shocker, or I think all die and planet guns or this type of system where there's an Allen key here in the bottom. The knob will be on the left side now with the clamp on the right. You can see where it's ready for it. This is just part of the system, so it's going to look different. It's not something that was about necessarily the clamping system, but just to allow more meat for what's going on with the SmoothFeed Breech. So again, when we talk about changing the geometry, that's what's going on. I hope that explains it. It's one of the more complicated things we've ever tried to implement, and we're pretty proud of it. If you have any questions, just let us know.